Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Eventide patron-only stream from Portland. How's everyone doing here this fine Tuesday evening? I hope you are having a wonderful evening. I know that I am, or at least I'm trying to. It's a little hard to do right now with the state of disarray that exists in my space. But we're getting there. We're getting along. For those of you who maybe missed out, didn't hear the news or anything, I have moved. I am no longer in less than sunny Seattle. I am now in significantly less than sunny Portland. It has rained a lot here since I moved. Non-stop. We have had over 4 inches of rain in the past week, which is really a lot. Even for Portland, that's a lot. That's like half the rainfall for the month, the first week. Yeah, it's been a journey, and frankly, it's a journey that started many months ago, between planning and arranging and figuring and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This move and then the challenges therein has really tanked all of my creative productivity. I didn't have time for anything. I still am mostly, frankly, kind of in a chaotic space, right? I have things are being unpacked, but it is not fast going. There's an entire house that needs to be unpacked, and most of the house is still boxes. So, I think today what I wanted to do was just reach out, first of all, and touch base and say, hey there, I'm not dead. And secondly, to kind of chat about where we're at right now and where I see us being able to go with the rest of the year. Because it is tricky right now. Getting some things done is going to be a lot of work. So you might as well start by just kind of talking about where I'm at right now. Obviously, the move is complete, the physical moving from one location to another. But my space is still kind of a complete mess. There are entire rooms that aren't really unpacked yet, and that's going to eat up a lot of my time here in the next coming weeks, because that has to get done. I have too many books and boxes that need to get taken care of. So that is going to be kind of a priority for a while. Now, the upside, I got a 3-day weekend coming up. It's Veterans Day this weekend, so I'm going to have a little extra time this weekend to get some more work done. But it's still going to take me a while to just kind of get my living space into a situation where I am able to do other work without feeling immensely guilty that, I still have half of my, not even half, I have all of my RPG library in boxes still. I do not have, I have like one shelf of RPGs unpacked, and those were only the RPGs that were shaped more like board games and got packed with those instead. So I don't have any I don't have a single Pathfinder book unpacked as of right now. Not a one. I do not have access to a single Pathfinder book. They're all still in boxes. Every single one. So, obviously, some of this is going to need to get rectified. Now, fortunately, I don't need much in the way of books to do my work, and I obviously have access to every PDF under the sun. But it just kind of goes to show the state of where I'm at as a creative. I do my best work when everything is kind of easy flowing, and right now, it is the opposite of easy flowing. So that is a challenge. When I kind of left off, so things took a serious wind down about a month and a half, 2 months before the move. And a lot of that was just due to the fact that packing was happening, and I was, making arrangements for the new place and kind of making trips back and forth between Portland and Seattle, like once a week, twice a week. So I've been just kind of swamped and distracted, and as a result, a bunch of things kind of just got put on hold. Not to mention other freelancing responsibilities, because Eventide is not the only work I have to do. And obviously my day job, right? That little thing I do at Paizo. Yeah, my home games, the playtest games, both came to an end. One of them will resume, the other one will not. But I haven't played either of them in months now. It's been a solid 2 months now, I think, since either group has played. And I'm looking forward to getting the game up and running again. But I don't think that's going to be this Thursday. And I'm hoping, against hope, that it might be next Thursday. But I don't know. It may take till the Thursday after that, and then we start getting close to, well, I start saying Thursday after that, Thursday after that. This Thursday, next Thursday, the Thursday after that, I believe, is Thanksgiving. So time is running out with November. Then we get into December and the December holidays. So, I've just got some challenges coming up. Maybe if I can hit the 16th, then we could play on the 30th. That'd be nice. Just looking at the calendar. I'm going to have to float that to my group and see if they're maybe interested in doing some of that. So there's that. The playtest of part 3 of Wolfram's Fate has been on hold for 2 months. Development of part 2 of Wolfram's Fate, I still have probably 8 to 16 hours worth of work to do on that before I can send it to the editor. Once I do send it to the editor, though, it is off to the races with that one. I have a bunch of art for it already. I just need to get it edited and laid out. So that one's not as far away as it seems. I just need to get past that last hump. So, those are kind of my big priorities right now. Just in getting things back up and running, it's getting the playtest going again and getting part 2 over to the editor. If I can get those two things if I can make both those two things happen by the end of the year, I'll call it a success. Because frankly, I haven't had time for anything, right? As it turns out, moving across state lines is tricky. It's tough. It takes a lot of effort. So, yeah, that's kind of been the ramp up to here. Obviously, right before I went on break, basically for the month of October, I did put out a kind of revised Gloamling Ancestry and PDF that I kind of opened up to everybody. I'm still working on the Penumbris. The Penumbris is getting close. But again, that got put on hold too. So I'm going to need to resurrect all those notes and kind of start it back up and get it going again. So, it's like I've got this laundry list. And geez, I should start organizing my thoughts better. Let me do that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a brand new note here. I have a note app that basically puts sticky notes on my desktop. It's really handy. And I'm going to call this Eventide Startup List. Because I really am treating this kind of like a startup. I need to kind of resurrect things. It's been several months since I've been able to devote full energy to it. And honestly, folks, I feel like it shows. And I feel bad about that. I do. But the move took precedent. I didn't have a choice on that front. So, let's see. We need to get the playtest restarted. I need to get part 2. Oh, nope. Wolfram's Fate, part 2 through to edit. Oh, let me put dev complete. And then Wolfram's Fate Part 2 to edit. I need to finish, revise, Penumbrist, layout, Penumbrist. And then it goes into dev, players, guide. Under playtest restarted, I'm going to go continue or Wolfram's Fate Part 3 writing complete. Dev player's guide, layout player's guide. Then it goes into dev GM's guide, layout GM guide. Okay. Well, that's my roadmap. Obviously, there'll be a bit in there that's like, oh yeah, write part 4 of Wolfram's Fate, but I don't need to put that on here yet. Tiger Eyes, do I like the new place? Yes. No, I do. I really do. But it's kind of hard to fully enjoy it just yet. There's so many boxes. It's hard for me to even quantify. There are hundreds of boxes still to be unpacked. And the library alone is like 200 boxes of books. It's ludicrous how many books we have. So it's going to take quite a while to kind of get that sorted. That's at least like a couple week process just to get that one room taken care of. But once we get that one room taken care of, the rest of the house is easy by comparison. The packing, that stuff took 2/3 the time to pack as everything else. So, I'm trying to take it in stride. But I do have to admit, it is. Right now it seems insurmountable, but when I look back at everything that had to happen to get here, that seemed even more insurmountable. So, it's hard to say. Little thing you get to know about me, I hate moving. I hate it. I despise moving. I don't really ever want to move, but when I have to, I will. I don't like the disruption to my space. As someone who relies on their creativity, moving just tanks it for months. And I'm trying to weather that a bit better this time, which is important because I do have another giant freelance responsibility right now to Paizo. I can't talk about it, but I do have another big responsibility to Paizo right now that is also on my plate. So the rest of this year is going to be jam-packed full of stuff. I think the hardest thing is just going to be making sure that this has momentum. Because right now it's at a cold stop, right? I haven't opened up an Eventide file until today, right? Today is the first day I've opened up an Eventide file in 6 weeks, maybe 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. Clearly on the other side of October. So it's for me, that's as someone who works on RPG products, I find that whenever I let something sit fallow for a while, and by a while I mean anything longer than a month, I find that when I pick it back up, I have to spend a little bit of time just kind of combing back through it. There's kind of a warm-up period of just, let me put all of this into the active memory, the active development banks, and then I can start manipulating it. Because if I just start writing stuff, I'll often find that I'm writing stuff that's discordant, or doesn't fit, or isn't going in the direction that I was setting up before, because I've kind of forgotten bits and pieces of it. So, yeah, I think... The first day is important, and today was the first day. I opened up some files today and poked at them. I did kind of, the spiritual poking, which is important. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Brass tacks, the length and delays on some of this. We've seen a bit of a drop off here on the Patreon. I am looking forward to... So one thing I've decided is that I want to get this Eventide stuff done. I want to get Wolfram's Fate done, the Player's Guide, and the GM's Guide. I want those 3 things done. When those are done, I'm going to rebrand the entire Patreon as more of a support me in my creative endeavors. More Eventide products will be in there. Other things will be in there. All those sorts of things will be in there. I'm going to keep it focused on Eventide until those 3 major products are done. So definitely into next year at some point in time. But then we might see a mix-up. I'll probably change all the prices and stuff. I'm a bit premium priced, I realized, for Patreon. And I appreciate all that everyone has contributed. Make no mistake. All of that money goes straight into the project. Like, every dime. I am, frankly, still quite in the red on Eventide. The release of Wolfram's Fate as a standalone PDF adventure, I've sold a handful of copies. I don't think it's gone... I don't think it even has meddled yet on drive-thru. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've looked. Let me take a peek here real quick. Give you guys a sense of where we're at. I'm going to do that. Don't show me monthly subtotals. Unreport. Yeah, we haven't broke 100. That's the thing. These things are really hard to do economically. And until I have some of the other product pieces out, some of it just won't really get rolling, right? Until you've got player's guide and GM's guide and world information out there just of one part of a 4-part adventure isn't a lot to go on. So I'm not exactly disappointed with that. 90, I'm at 96 sales. Is not terrible for a kind of unknown campaign setting. I will take it for now. But, I'm going to have to do a lot of work to kind of recoup costs and investments on these things. But, that's the thing is, and I mentioned this to folks here before, I'm not really creating Eventide to get rich. Nobody makes things in the RPG industry to get rich. Getting money is nice. Trust me, I don't want to lose money. But I'm not exactly doing it to buy, a fancy sports car. I think, for me, what I want to make sure is that it's not, costing me too much money to bring this world to everybody. And frankly, this Patreon has made that possible. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. I just wouldn't. I'd just make it my own homebrew campaign, and it would never see the light of day. But this Patreon has made that possible. And to that future, I want to make sure that there's a route for me to make other things possible as well. Because I've got, I have an entire RPG that's almost done. I just need to revise it, playtest it a handful of times, and make sure that it's doing what I think it's doing. It's a lighter, more narrative game, so I don't need to do a lot of playtesting. But I need to do some, and I need to finish writing it. And things like that I want to be able to bring to all of you through the Patreon, right? So I am... Ferraris are out for me. Yeah, I couldn't drive one even if I wanted to. Most people, if you've never seen me in person, you might not realize that I am over 6.5 feet tall. I'm huge. For those of you in meters, I am just shy of 2 meters tall. And as a result, Ferraris are never going to be my future because they don't make them big enough for me. They just don't. I tried to sit in a sports car once when I was 21 or something, and it was just I can't physically get my limbs in this vehicle. It just doesn't work. I don't fit in here. So, anywho. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I do have a bunch of art. I should reach out to Frost and let Frost know that things got delayed. They probably figured it out by now. So I have a bunch of really good art for part 2 of Wolfen's Fate, so I feel like that is coming along. I think the big lift is going to be getting art for the player's guide, because I'm going to want to find a handful of artists, and I'm going to want several, frankly, thousands of dollars worth of art. So that's kind of, I'm starting to build a bank for that now. So all of the money is either going to editing, or if there's excess, it'll all just start piling up for the upcoming art order for the player's guide, which will be, I'll probably budget $7 or $8 grand for that, I think, which will probably be all of a year's worth of patron funding. So, I think that is where a lot of this is going. And for those of you at the very highest tier where you're building up word counts, make sure to keep an eye on that. I'll do some posts about that here soon, just so that I can start scheduling some of that in the early parts of next year if folks want to get archetypes or monsters or anything like that out of me. So, yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, no, most people have no idea I'm that tall. But that's okay. You can't tell how tall someone is on a stream. So yeah, I'm trying to remember. So my memory right now is basically trying to put back together where my playtest group is at. That's what I started digging into today, is just the script for Wolfen's Fate Part 3. And I forgot that I was in the middle of writing the start of the next kind of major set piece where they run afoul the loggers who have become mired in an elven ruin, a trap in an elven ruin. So that'll be kind of a multi-session, probably 2 or 3 session encounter area with multiple encounters and kind of bigger things. But they're getting close to that. I have some of it written, but not all of it yet. So that's kind of my next big writing task. For that, what else I got going on? That's kind of it. What are you doing? Okay. So, yeah. right now, I think if I'm looking forward to the next month or two, I think this month is still going to be pretty spotty. As I get more and more stuff unpacked, it becomes less and less of a burden and easier to kind of maneuver and get things settled and get things done. My office is a complete disaster. I have the green screen up, and I have one wall of bookshelves that is filled with board games, but they're not quite organized the way I want. Everything else is stone boxes. So, it's been building out other rooms of the house and stuff too. So, there hasn't really been a chance to finish off my office, unpack all my paperwork, start sorting through all of that stuff. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about unbearing much in the way of Eventide stuff, because most of that stuff is digital only, and that's all here on my machine. You'll be happy to know my computer made it perfectly intact, no problems, no issues, nothing broke, nothing got lost. I did move it all by hand. I didn't let the movers move it, so that's probably a big part of why it arrived in perfect condition, because I moved it myself. I just drove the damn thing down. So, on that front, we're doing pretty good. Yeah. So, if I could ask the folks here, we got a handful of folks here. Is there, as we're looking forward, kind of curious what, I don't ask this often enough, I don't think. It's kind of what do you folks want to see from the Patreon? Are you getting your money's worth? Do you think this is worth it? I mean, I know it's kind of an investment. You're putting money into this. You're seeing the process. The process is a big part of the draw. You get to see how the sausage is made, in essence, including the trials and the things that go wrong. I don't sugarcoat that stuff. When something goes wrong, I just tell you. But I'm kind of curious. The benefits right now have mostly been, free PDFs when they come out, discounts on print products and things like that. And then access to kind of me and chatting with me. And I've got Discord stuff and there's some website stuff and you have access to all the rules and stuff early. But frankly, a lot of that stuff hasn't changed in a while. And so as a result, a lot of the benefits of this are these streams and chatting with me and being able to talk and see the process and influence it, because I use all of you for brainstorming and things like that, and kind of sounding boards for some ideas. But if there are things that are missing, I don't know if any of you are part of other Patreons. I do want to open up, the thought of, hey, if there are things that I could be offering, things that I could be doing to add value to this, to make it more engaging, more interactive. I guess I could be doing more polls and stuff. I don't do as much of those as I think I should. But I'm kind of curious what you want. What do you see in this as kind of the value? What's kind of, it's an open forum, right? I know there was a time delay, so I have to kind of fill space while you hear what I just said, and then type stuff. So, and then there'll be a time delay for me to answer. So, we'll let that kind of play out. But yeah, I think, by and large, I do want to, well, I appreciate that. Knowing that you're supporting someone who is creating something that you'll enjoy at a later date. Okay, well, I mean, that's good. I just have to keep making it. I have to get back on the horse, as it were. But I do appreciate that. I realize that that's part of the process. There's a handful of creators out there who I support through Patreon, and a bunch of YouTubers and some other folks. And for me, it's just that I know that they continue making the stuff that I like watching. So that's fine. I get that part of it is just supporting something you like. So, I think many of the folks on Patreon struggle with, how do I make this worth it? How do I make it, folks are giving me money. I want to make sure that you're feeling like that's going somewhere important and doing a thing. So, that's kind of an open struggle for me. I'm not used to doing this directly. I think, by and large, I'm excited about getting Eventide out there, but I do also look forward to being able to have a bit more of a free hand with the Patreon in the future, because I feel like I could draw in more folks, which probably means I don't need to charge as much, because it won't be all about buying art pieces and stuff and paying for expensive things. It'll be more about, creating, hey, I decided to do this archetype this week. Here it is, right? You know, there is no art for it, but here's the text for it. And just being able to play and explore and kind of show you all my dumb game concepts that I have. I have so many games. I have drawers full of games that I've never gone anywhere, but some of them I really want to go somewhere. I just haven't figured out how yet. So there's things like that floating around. I would love next year to be the year that I create several games, even if a bunch of them are, you know, small, kind of more independent, tiny, fun expressions and less about it being a big serious deal. I have thought about doing some DMing, especially as these adventures come together. I thought that might be kind of fun. I think the trick is finding a group, you know, and making sure a connection, and then doing all the background work on it. It's not impossible, but I do think that is one of the highest lift things I can do. Just because it requires so much coordination. It doesn't mean it's not worth it. And it, you know, it is a thing I could certainly do. I wouldn't ask my playtest groups to do that, because frankly, I built my playtest groups purely out of friends, and they didn't sign up to be in, you know, online. They're not streamers. They're, you know, not all of them. You know, so for them, that's not something that they would really be all that interested in. So I'd have to find another group for it. But I have thought about running Wolfren's Fate. What is going on there? Oh, weird. Huh. Looks like I dropped some frames there for a second. Hold on, I'm just making sure I didn't lose my connection. Huh. Okay. Well, apparently whatever it is cleared up. As best I can tell. Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's part of me that almost wants to use, you know, just run bits of it for high tier patrons, right? You know, you've paid. I should run it for some of you, and that may be the route I go. Is that I, you know, play some of the early parts of Wolfren's Fate with all of you. You know the story and stuff. It won't be a surprise, but we can still have fun with it. Is kind of what I'm getting at. So, yeah, weird. Really confused as to why I dropped some frames. Oh, I have a whole bunch of stuff on in the background I didn't shut off. That's on me. That's on me. All right, get out of here. That's all. Okay. Background apps. Love to wake up in the middle of my stream and start doing stuff. All right. Yeah. Well, you know, I think that's something I'll consider going forward. I think that might be a fun way to kind of celebrate, and also for some of those who are you know, frankly, the higher tier backers, you know, they're certainly, you know, paying enough to get to play a game with me now and again. So I think that's something we can probably arrange. I'll let folks know before anything like that happens. And I'll probably do it on a seniority basis based on, you know, how long you've been in the Patreon and how much you've given, and do it that way. So, and, you know, if I've got enough interest, I'll run it multiple times. Running a game doesn't cost me too much. It's streaming a game that is far more difficult. So it's interesting because I think that running a game is just, yeah, I got all the assets ready, fine, no worries. I don't have to worry about polish in the same way that I do a stream. I don't have to have frames, and I don't have to worry about perfect sound setup and getting rid of distortions and getting rid of problems and making title cards and doing promos and doing all the things that you have to do to make a streamed game work. Half of those don't exist in a virtual tabletop that you're just gathering around with some folks and being like, yep, here's the link, show up, we'll roll some dice. It's easy. So I do think that, you know, in the future, that's something that I think we can definitely explore. I think that could be fun. Even if it turns into the sort of thing where it's like, okay, everybody from the highest tier is eligible to be a player. First come, first serve ranking applies. And everybody from the next tier down can be in the spectator group. You can watch it. You can come hang out and chat and be in a special chat window with me while we're playing. Yeah, I think that's kind of more interesting. I do think that this, especially this environment, this YouTube environment is much more casual than I feel like my normal streams are. My normal streams, right, you know, going on Twitch, you know, there's a certain level of polish and professionalism I want. Dan and I always make jokes about how we're, you know, a bunch of, you know, how we're a bunch of pros, real pros, and we're constantly screwing things up and sound problems and all sorts of other nonsense. And you know, as a result, you know, yeah, that's kind of the joke. But we do actually work really hard to try and make sure that our streams look good and sound good, you know, and have kind of good output and good read and stuff like that. So yeah. I mean, I you know, this is exactly the same stream setup that I use for Twitch. But you know, obviously I think the difference here is that I'm just more casual. It's less, I don't have to worry about strangers, you know, not that I consider all of you buddies or anything like that, but you're not unknowns. You're not randos who just wandered into the room who are like, what is going on here? Which can certainly happen in other ways. So, there is that. Yeah, I have thought about creating some basic tchotchkes and stuff to reward folks. And I may do some of that in the coming year, especially as we hit the next anniversary. I think we're about to hit the 2-year anniversary. And I might do some stuff for patrons who have been with me the whole time. You know, just to say thanks. And stuff like that. The thing about doing a RPG from scratch is that until I get to printing, there isn't anything physical. There's nothing I can give or hand out that works. It's all just kind of like, yeah, you get a PDF. And while that's certainly good, there's something missing. It's not tangible. You know, it doesn't have that same kind of special benefit feeling. So there is that. All right. Okay. Where am I? Here I am. So that's kind of the state of where things are at right now. I'm just kind of starting to pick the pieces back up and try and remember how I was going to put them together. Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. You know, the most important thing I can do is get settled and get going again. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that has to be my focus here in the near term. It's less about delivering things, because that's step 7. I need to get steps 1 through 6 done, you know, and really that means starting, you know, one step at a time. And frankly, I do want to get the playtesting up and running again, because the playtesting drives my writing. That's the thing, because I have to write to playtest the stuff that I'm writing. And I have some buffer built, but not enough that I could run multiple weeks without doing some writing. So it's that sort of thing where I need to, you know, get the playtesting going again, because that forces me to write. But it's weird. I talk about it as if I'm like, well, I don't need to, so I'm not going to. But I don't know if any of you know a lot of creatives. Sometimes a deadline is what you need, because without one, it's easy to kind of push things around and be like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, right? I'm a master at procrastinating on my deadlines until the pressure is on, and then I can be very, very, very creative in very short periods of time. But, you know, if I have 3 months to write 1,000 words, I'm not touching that 1,000 words until month 2, week 3. No, I appreciate it. No, it's nothing I can get help on though, Tiger. It's too much. It's too much. And I have plenty of help. So, yeah, yeah. Well, and we have the holidays coming up. So, yeah. So I do want to make sure that I get a couple playtests in before the end of the year, just so that, frankly, so that my group remembers that we're still fucking playing. Like, I do think that there's an aspect of this of my group just being discordant, and like they've stopped even asking about it, which isn't ideal. And obviously we still have a bunch of work to do, but there's my playtest happens at night, and there isn't much unpacking that's going to happen at 9 o'clock at night. So. I guess to some extent, the only thing preventing it right now is just kind of chaos and disorganization. But I don't want to undercut that as a challenge, because it really has kind of slowed things down. But yeah, with Thanksgiving coming up and then the winter holiday break, yeah, it's going to be a little tough here. To get everything kind of up and running. It's going to be a little stutter stop until the start of the year. But that's probably the time I need anyway. Like I said, I do have another freelance project that's due, I think, in January, and is not small. So this month and next month, I'm going to have to devote a significant amount of time to that. So between that and unpacking, I got a busy end of the year. But I do want to stress to all of you that, things are coming back together. It's just going to be a little slow rolling here in the first couple weeks as I'm still unpacking and getting my life kind of sorted. Yeah, Tiger Eyes, that sounds like a lot. Forming your own practice sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, I have to admit, forming my own RPG company was not as hard as that. I applied for a business license. I taught myself how to use a bunch of layout software. I bought a bunch of layout software. I figured out how to order art and stuff. The hardest part for me was figuring out contracting, because I had never done it before personally. So, but yeah, I would say right now, folks, the other thing that's worth mentioning, is the remaster is dropping. The remaster will affect Eventide a bit. Not a ton, but a bit. There are a few things I'm probably going to revise. Most of that's in the player's guide, just stuff based on rules that no longer exist or are different. So there's some stuff like that that's probably going to happen. There are some class rules in there for classes that aren't out yet. That won't be out until Player Core 2. So some of those are just going to have to kind of sit in a weird kind of limbo state. But I am going to go through and do a remaster pass. So, that is, you know what, I should add that to my list. Where is it? Come back here, list. I'm going to put that right here. Remaster pass. That is a pass of every piece of work that I have done so far, changing it to the remaster. Now, some of it's easy. I just do a find replace for flat-footed to off-guard, right? There's some stuff that's easy, like that. There are other things that are going to be significantly more difficult. The change to wizard is going to make me need to rewrite a few things. Not a lot. Most of it still works. I'll have to take a good look at the Penumbrist. I think the Penumbrist, which I'm still in the middle of revising anyway, but the remaster of the Penumbrist may have some interesting effects. So, yeah. Well, so. Tiger mentioned that thankfully the player's guide and GM guide were not the player's guide and the GM guide were not published before the remaster. I made that call about 5 months ago, to be honest, because I was racing towards getting those things ready, but I also knew the remaster was coming, and so I was like, I'm not going to release these and then have to re-release them. That would be less good. So, frankly, I kind of waited on them quite intentionally. So, they're still there. And, honestly, until the remaster is kind of fully put together, I don't have a complete sense of what needs to be done to them. Now, obviously, I have internal knowledge, but I can't use any of that in a public way until the books are released. So, I can get ready for things, but the remaster books don't technically release until the middle of the month. So I can't even really talk about it too much until they're out. But we're almost there. We're almost there. And I know a lot of people have the PDFs already, but I am still bound by certain rules. So we will hold it at that. Well, folks, I think that's going to be about it for me here tonight. I want to thank you all for coming by and hanging out. I will do another stream next Tuesday. I'm hoping that maybe this weekend I can start digging and poking at some things. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I was like, oh no, I definitely will get this done. I can't promise anything right now. I have to unpack boxes all weekend. So, other than a stream on Saturday, I'm booked. So, I have a lot of NDAs signed, Tiger. I have more NDAs signed than you can imagine. I have signed dozens of them over the years. So, yeah, there's that. All right, folks. Again, I want to thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for watching here tonight. Yeah, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. Still looking forward to getting back to the campaign. It's going to take me a few weeks still as I just get my life back in order. But I thank you all for hanging with me. Thank you for your support. I look forward to sharing more of this campaign with you. Take it easy, folks. I'll be live on Twitch here in about 15 minutes. So we'll see you there. Have a good rest of your week, everybody, and we will see you next time.